I never thought a text message could make my hands shake. But there I was, standing in the kitchen, phone trembling in my grip, staring at the message that shattered the quiet rhythm of my Saturday morning. "Tonight, then. My husband's not into that kind of thing. But you are." It was from my wife's phone. And it wasn't sent to me. For a moment, the world around me blurred. The sound of the boiling kettle, the rain tapping the window, even the faint scent of toast burning. My thumb hovered over the screen as if holding it too tightly might burn me. The name above the message was one I recognized. Ryan. He was a friend from the gym, someone she'd mentioned casually a few times over the past few months. Nothing had ever sounded off until now. I scrolled further, each swipe of my finger peeling away another layer of the life I thought I knew. Their conversation wasn't just flirtatious. It was explicit, unapologetically so. And that sentence, "My husband doesn't want to, so let's do it with you." She had written it like I was an obstacle to be worked around, not a person whose life she'd shared for 7 years. When Emily walked into the kitchen, hair damp from the shower, wearing my old hoodie, I felt something inside me split. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and poured herself coffee as though the world hadn't just caved in around me. "Morning," she said casually, her voice warm. "You're up early." I studied her for a moment. Her familiar freckles, the way her hair curled slightly at the ends. This was the same woman who stayed up with me through my father's funeral, who once cried when we watched an old couple holding hands in the park. How could that same woman send a message like that? I forced a smile. "Couldn't sleep." She didn't notice the edge in my voice. Or maybe she did, and decided to pretend she didn't. The rest of the day was a blur of silent calculations. Do I confront her now? Do I wait? My mind raced through 1,000 possibilities, each one ending with the same sickening ache in my chest. I didn't want to be the jealous husband snooping through his wife's phone. But I also couldn't unknow what I knew. By evening, she was getting dressed to meet a few friends for drinks. Ryan would be there. I knew it. "Where are you headed?" asked, trying to sound casual. She hesitated just a fraction too long. "Just downtown, same place as last time." "You don't mind, do you?" I shook my head. "No, of course not." But my heart was pounding. Followed her. I know how that sounds, pathetic, desperate. But in that moment I needed the truth more than my dignity. I parked a block away from the bar, rain soaking my jacket, and watched from the shadows as she walked in. Not 5 minutes later Ryan arrived. Tall, athletic, wearing that smug grin I'd seen on his social media. They didn't hug like friends. They touched like conspirators. I felt something in me turn cold. When she came home hours later, smelling faintly of whiskey and someone else's cologne, I was sitting in the dark. She jumped when she saw me. "Jesus, James, you scared me. Why are you sitting here like that?" I stared at her. "Who's Ryan?" Her face froze, just a flicker but enough. "What?" "Don't," I said, my voice low. "Don't lie to me." There was a long, heavy silence. She put her purse down, avoiding my eyes. "It's not what you think." I laughed, a bitter sound that didn't feel like it belonged to me. "Then what is it, Emily? Because from where I'm standing, it looks exactly like what I think." She looked at me then, her eyes glassy but defiant. You never wanted to try the things I wanted. You shut me down every time. Felt unwanted. So when Ryan started..." "Stop." I held up my hand, the word cutting through her excuses. "Don't you dare make this about what I didn't want. You could have talked to me. You could have left. But you chose to betray me." Her chin trembled. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." I shook my head slowly. "You sent him a message saying I wasn't enough for you. That you'd do with him what you couldn't with me. How do you come back from that?" She didn't answer. Maybe she knew there wasn't an answer. The next few days were a haze of silence and tension. She tried to explain, to justify, to cry her way back into something resembling normalcy. But I couldn't shake the image of them together, the casual cruelty of her words. Nights were the worst. I'd lie awake next to her, listening to her breathe, and wonder how many other lies she'd whispered in the dark. One night I finally asked, "Was it just him?" She hesitated, and that was all I needed. I moved out 2 weeks later. Took only what I needed. My clothes, my guitar, the old photo albums that still meant something even if the faces in them hurt to look at. She begged me to stay, said it was a mistake, said we could go to counseling. But some things don't get fixed. Some cracks go too deep. Months passed. I tried to rebuild. New apartment, new routines, long walks in the evenings just to fill the empty hours. But betrayal is a ghost that lingers. It shows up in the quiet moments. The smell of rain on concrete, the taste of her favorite coffee I couldn't stop buying out of habit, the way I'd reach for my phone at night and expect a message that would never come. One afternoon I got a letter from her. Not an email, not a text. An actual letter, written in her familiar, looping handwriting. "I don't expect forgiveness," it began. "I just want you to know I'm sorry, not for what happened but for how I made you feel. Small, inadequate, replaceable. You never were. I was the one who couldn't face my own restlessness without hurting someone who loved me." I read it twice, 3 times. It didn't fix anything. But it was honest. More honest than she'd been in months. It's been nearly a year now. I still think about her sometimes. About the woman she was before Ryan, before the lies. And about the man I was before that night in the kitchen. Phone in hand. Heartbreaking, one message at a time. I don't hate her anymore. Hate is heavy, and I've carried enough. What I feel now is quieter. Scar, not a wound. Sometimes that's the best we can hope for.